Everybody, hello, welcome, and hello. I think we're live now, so I can stop greeting you. Thanks for coming. I'm Dan, your friendly fishmonger. We do this every Wednesday night at 7 p.m. Mountain Time. That's 9 Eastern for those who are a bit mountain challenged, and I'm glad you could join us on this Wednesday. We're going to start with our shipping report. It's a good one. I'm very excited about this. We're going to talk about our giveaway, along with some big changes to the Cory taxonomy. After that, we will get to your questions and comments. After I talk about probably just two fish that we have available for sale now, newly listed here at Dan's Fish, that I think a lot of people will be very excited about. So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to start the shipping report. I am thrilled to announce that it has gone up by 0.02%, finally. Last week, we were at 98.87% success shipping fish to our customers, meaning they got to our customers alive and not just barely breathing, but alive and robust and expected to do well. And we've improved to 98.89%, 0.02%. That means 0.01% more, and we'll be at 98.90, finally. Just 1%, not 1%, 0.1% away from our goal of 99% success. So that's a 12-month running total. We want a running total for the last 12 months of shipping to be 99% successful or more. 98.89, pretty darn good. Like, the team's incredible. Everyone's on board with our mission that works here and works extremely hard to make sure that the fish get healthy before we send them to you guys. But we're human. Sometimes we make mistakes, or sometimes we don't make a mistake. We simply don't know that that a fish isn't going to make it. It looks good in every way, but it just doesn't make it. But it's that very tiny, just barely over 1% that happens to. So I'm happy with where we're at. I'm really wanting to get to 99% though. So we're working on it. The good news is the last 3 months, our success rate has been 99.17%. So the last 3 months, over 99%, which is fantastic. But we want that to be year round. So we're working on that rolling 12-month total. All right. Now the next thing we have to do is talk about our giveaway. So our giveaway is for this fish, Gastrodermus pygmaeus. Did that strike anyone as odd? Gastrodermus pygmaeus? Yes. It has been up until yesterday Corydoras pygmaeus. But yesterday, a new paper was released which divided the Corys up. This has been a long time coming. We've been knowing that this has been coming for a long time. We know that there's 9 lineages of Corys. We know that each lineage is actually its own genus. It's just taken science a long time to get to the point where they've come up with the descriptions and got that all figured out. That happened yesterday. So Corydoras pygmaeus, the beloved pygmy Cory, is now Gastrodermus pygmaeus, which is a weird name. Gastro means stomach, dermis means skin. So stomach skin, pygmaeus. Who comes up with these things? But anyway, that's what we're giving away. So we'll just call him Corydoras pygmaeus for a bit. And I'm not, on our website, you're going to start seeing the scientific names change for all the Corys, but we're going to have to find a way to do it. So if you search the old name, which most people will do for the next several years as they catch up, that you can still find it. So I'm figuring out, the best way to make that happen. But we're going to make it, don't worry, we're going to try to make it easy on you. So if you search Corydoras whatever and the name changed, you can still find it under Corydoras. So that's the plan anyways. So anyway, the winner of the giveaway will be sent a group of these beautiful little Corydoras pygmaeus. They're awesome. They're called the Pygmy Cory for a reason. They're small. They're pygmies? Can you say that? But that's what their scientific name calls them. Little guys, maybe the biggest females, maybe a little over an inch. But little nano Corydoras. They like to school, like all Corys. They like to be in big groups. Not all Corys. Like almost all Corys, they like to be in big groups. And Totally peaceful. They'll eat anything. We feed them baby brine shrimp. We feed them big algae wafers. We feed them big protein wafers. We just kind of rotate foods like that into their diet. So super easy to take care of. The big concern when keeping these, I think, is their tank mates. The tank mates need to be peaceful and of appropriate size, but also not super food aggressive. These guys nosh on food, and it takes them a while to get a meal down. So they will be outcompeted by really, really aggressive feeders that like mob the food, and they won't be able to get any. So as long as that's not going on, I think they'll do well in any community aquarium with appropriately sized, peaceful fish. So that's what we're giving away. So if you want to enter to win some Gastrodermus pygmaeus, Corydoras pygmaeus, then enter hashtag new names in the chat. That's hashtag NEWNAMES, new names plural, no caps, or no spaces, sorry, capitalization doesn't matter, but no spaces, hashtag new names, and you'll be entered to win some Corydoras pygmaeus. Before we get into talking about a couple fish that they've recently been listed for sale that I think are pretty exciting, before we do that, I want to share this with you. This is the article. As you can see, it was released yesterday, hot off the press. And I haven't had time to look at it completely, but there's some interesting things, such as Scleromastics has kind of always been its own group. That's lineage 3. Here is lineage 4 and lineage 5. So lineage 4 is, as I understand it, these right here, Pygmaeus and Histatus. Lineage 5 is the elegans group. Aeneas, Corydoras Aeneas, not Corydoras Aeneas anymore. It's now Osteogaster, which, does that mean bone stomach? Osteogaster? I mean, these are some strange names. So, yeah, the like standard fish in the aquarium hobby, Corydoras Aeneas, not Corydoras anymore. Brochus, this one blew my mind. I've known Brochus splendens and Multiradiatus and a couple others for a long, long time, but Reticulatus is now in here. Virginiae is in here. Agassizii, Corydoras agassizii is now Brochus. This one surprised me. I did not realize that Brochus had such a wide spread. So anyway, that's the article. That's the scientific analysis that came out with this. I can't give you this link. I don't have a link I can share to it. I guess this would do it. I think this link right here will get you there. So if you want to read all the new descriptions and get lost in the madness, there you go. Now, this is going to be a little bit of a pain in the butt for hobbyists, right? Because we don't want the names to change. It's like, we know what it is. That's Corydoras Aeneas. Let's keep it there, right? But for the understanding of the relationships among species and how they adapted and evolved and changed over time, and how one species is related to the other, and what the basal group is, and all that stuff, then it's pretty helpful. So from a natural history perspective, this is kind of needed. It simplifies things. We've always known that there were 9 lineages, and we've always known this was going to happen. I've been dreading the day, though, because as a businessman, I want to make it easy for my customers. I want them to be able to be like, Corydoras pygmaeus, and go right there, instead of having to learn 9 new, well, Scleromastics and some of the others were already kind of established, Aspidoras. But 7, or I guess 1 will stay Corys. Not so bad then, only 6 new lineages, only 6 new genuses? Genies. I'm going to say genies because that's fun, that we have to learn. But yeah, But that's the news. That's the big news in the hobby today, I would say, is all those name changes. Now, a couple of things I want to shout out on fish that were recently listed. A couple of these folks have been waiting for quite some time. Where are they? Here they are. These two. The gold roseline barbs we've been out of for quite a while. We've ordered several times and they've been shorted, so they've been running out of stock. But the breeder finally had enough. We were able to get some in. So nice gold roseline barbs available again. And then this one, the zebra loach. I think my favorite of the Bottia type loaches. This is an old picture I took with a really bad camera long ago. So it doesn't do the fish justice completely, but you can kind of see the gold and dark bands that they get. So gold, dark, white, dark, gold. Like that's how it goes. This pattern of dark on white and then dark on gold, alternating through the fish. I think it's a very attractive fish. What I love about it is it only gets 3 to 4 inches and it keeps its color. I like clown loaches. Don't get me wrong. I think clown loaches are a great fish. However, they change their color as they grow. They turn into very large fish and the colors become muted. Those bright oranges and yellows and blacks turn into more like tans and browns. So as they grow, I'm not going to say they become uglier, but they definitely become less colorful. They also get huge. So a lot of times I think they're abused in the hobby. I think clown loaches a lot of times suffer the same fate as, say, a common pleco, where it's bought small and it grows so big that a lot of times it's not given the right requirements. Now, I'm not saying that there aren't people out there that take good care of their clown loaches. There sure are. And I salute them. And there's people out there that take great care of their common plecos. I mean, imagine if you'd never seen a common pleco before, or any pleco, and then you encountered this 18-inch, really bizarre looking, interesting looking fish. Like, that thing would blow your mind. You would want one. And maybe you would, you know, get a big enough tank and all that to house it properly. It's a great fish. Some people take care of it right. But in general, that doesn't happen. Just so many of them are sold every year that the math doesn't add up, that most of those are ending up in a housing situation which is good for them long term, that most of them are having a good long life. The math doesn't add up. That's why I like this fish. It has all the personality of a clown loach. I like the color pattern. It's not the bright yellow on black with kind of orangish on the fins that a young clown loach has, but it's a pleasing color that catches your eye, a pleasing clear pattern, and it stays small. So it's going to be nice and small and peaceful, and a good fish that you can keep its entire lifespan in the size tank that your average hobbyist has. So that's why I like these guys. Now, these do best in groups. So this is not me being a salesman and saying, buy lots of them. They're literally a social fish. So they do best in groups. But that's one that people have been asking for a long time. I order it whenever I can. It's just not often available. And often it's listed, and what comes in instead are yo-yo loaches. So even when it is listed, it's often not the right fish that was listed. So then this is another one folks have been waiting on for quite a while, the L183 Starlight Bushy Nose Plecos. Same breeder as last time, and they look really good. They came in actually bigger size than the ones last time did. So that's another one. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time on new fish that were listed, but those are some of the highlights. So yeah, if you were waiting on those, they're available now. Okay, gonna wet my whistle, then we'll get to your questions and comments and keep the stream rolling. Zakwa says, Pygmy Gastrodermus doesn't exactly roll off the tongue. Yeah, I'm sure that commonly we'll still call them the Pygmy Cory, with the scientific name of Gastrodermus pygmaeus. Yeah, but commonly I'm still going to call them Pygmy Corys. It's going to be too hard for me not to. It's so ingrained in my head. Okay, so I think I'm done all that. I got my drink. I think I'm ready to get to questions and comments. But before I do, I want to thank our moderators for being here. Good to see you, Bob Kaler. Hope you're doing well. Chat cut me off right as everyone was putting in the hashtag new names to enter to win the... I have to keep glancing at the new name. I wrote it down here because I keep wanting to call him Corydoras pygmaeus. Gastrodermus pygmaeus, pygmy Corys. But the first one I can see that's directed to me is... Okay. Mahorny Estrada. Dan, would you say that after Aquarium Co-op finally on board the dance fish bandwagon, you have sold more fish? Yeah, I think the partnership with Cory has been good for us. I think we're selling more fish. I have no way of knowing for sure how much of that growth we would have had if Cory hadn't come on board. So I don't know how much of it is actually Cory or how much of it would have happened anyway. No one can know that. But I do know how many folks Cory sends our way. And whether or not the partnership with Cory results in like a lot more sales, which it is definitely going to result in more sales for sure. But no matter if it did or not, I'm proud of the partnership. And the reason is because I feel like a stamp of approval from Cory is very difficult to get. I started trying to get it in, I think it was 2017. Right? Cory's no pushover. I had to work on him for years. And so it's the same reason I was really proud to be an affiliate with Bob Steamfot at Steamfot Aquatics. Bob is not going to partner with someone unless he truly believes in what they're doing. Bob is going to say it like it is. And even though we're partners, if I'm screwing up, he's going to call it out. Like, Bob's just a very honest man. Now, any human is incentivized different ways, right? For sure. But I think Bob and Cory are alike in that, despite the incentives, they're going to be honest. Now, are they biased? Yes, because they're human. There's no human being that isn't biased. Just the fact that we see the world through a particular life experience, a lens of our life experience, makes us biased. We can't help but be biased. But that doesn't mean that we have to be dishonest. And so an endorsement from Cory and from Bob Steamfot, I thought was great because these are people that are just very honest. And yeah, so that's what I liked about it, more than any sales that would be sent our way. Now, there's been sales sent our way, but again, I have no way of knowing exactly what they would have been if Cory hadn't come on board. But I'm grateful to have him as a partner. I'm good friends with Candy Overhauls, who works at Aquarium Co-op. I've known her for years. All the people I know that work with Cory are just upstanding people that I like to have that company being an ambassador for my brand. And I'm hoping to do the same for Cory. I'm hoping that people have seen me be transparent and honest and nothing but integrity for, it's been years and years now. I don't think you can fake that long term. I think you can fake that in the short term, but I don't think that's something that you can fake long term because enough people will call you out that it just doesn't work. So I'm hopeful that I'll also be a good partner to Cory, that people have seen me transparent and honest and fair in my dealings with everybody for long enough that they know that when I endorse Cory, it's for the same reason. I really think he's doing a good job. So that's what I like about the partnership. And of course the sales, of course you want that. But, you know, we help each other out on that. It goes both ways there. Okay, Nathan If a person is to receive this amazing prize and has a gift card for, how would the shipping work, split the difference, etc., thanks. So we would cover the shipping for a small box, and then, because that's what we would be sending anyway, and then if it had to go into a different size box, then we would probably just say, hey, could you cover the $5? I think it's $5 more for medium and then $5 more on top of that for a large. So we would we're going to cover the small box shipping anyway, because we would have paid that no matter what. Coro works. If you need 2T. Oh, you have to type in HTTPS for the link to work. Okay, let me do that. Let's see if I can actually make a link that works here. HTTPS. Do I have to do //? No, I don't. Oh, it's already got. Well, that's weird. HTTPS. It had this HTTPS, even though I copied and pasted it. Okay, weird. Let me type it again. HTTPS // Okay, this should do it. The link I just listed should do it. I literally copied and pasted it from the page, so I'm not sure why it ended up pasting funny, but anywho. Oh my gosh, Big Steve's Glass Box Creations has done it again, gifting a Dance Fish membership. Big Steve, mwah, thank you. I've never met you, but you've been so supportive over the last several weeks that I just really appreciate it. Thanks for the continued support, as well as Kelly Foreman dropping a very, very generous super chat on us. Thank you, Kelly. You already have the coveted Fat Kitty stamp of approval. Very coveted. Oh, I still need to get around to getting the referral so I can. It's been interesting. I talked about this very briefly, but public aquariums and zoos, several now have approached me. And in order to, to do business with them, you have to have recommendations from programs, other aquariums and zoos in the state under the same umbrella, the association of, I forget what it is. But if you don't have that first one and that second one, I think it's 3, then you can't get them. So it's that whole thing that if you're trying to be an actor, you can't get a job without getting in the guild, but you can't be in the guild without getting a job. Like, is that the whole thing? So we've worked a workaround. I just need to find the time to do it. So Kelly, I will be reaching out about that. I just haven't had a chance. But thanks, Kelly, to you and Jake for the continued support. Andy Rampage, how often do you have ornate tenopoma available? Very rarely. I have 2 sources for them. One is someone who breeds them, but doesn't breed them often. When they have them available, I tend to bring them in. And then the other is a wild source that collects them from the Congo and brings them in, and I get them from them. So hard to get either way. And until I find a way to source fish humanely from the Congo, I've been very skittish. I don't know. Been very hesitant to bring more in. But it is something I'm working on. Simmering in the background are efforts to make things like that happen. Okay, I'm scrolling here. Holy cow! Oh, there it is. I was like, wait a minute, did I reach the bottom of the chat? No, it just hadn't jumped. So okay, here we go. Purple pencil. Like purple pencil fish. My L519s are constantly breeding. Yes! I have a few getting to juvenile age. I'm not sure what I should sell them for to my LFS. Any suggestions? That is something you'll have to work out, purple pencil, with your LFS. I could not tell you. I can't set the prices for your local stores. Everyone has a different markup. Everyone has different standards. Everyone has different sources where they can get them from different prices. So you have to work that out with them personally. That being said, if you ever get them in numbers and you would like to sell them to me, I would like to buy them. However, I understand shipping is not for everybody. So, you know, if you don't want to ship them, I totally get it. But if you can't find somewhere to unload them, I would be happy to buy them. Dan Brown, pygmy gutskin? I don't know what, oh yeah, pygmy gutskin maybe. Yeah, instead of like stomach skin, gut skin. Yeah, maybe that's what it is, Dan Brown. The genus name for the new genus of Corydor's pygmaeus is Gastrodermus pygmaeus. Gastro meaning stomach or maybe gut. Yeah. Kalish, please use formerly known as in the listing for us that are slow to learn. Oh yeah. I will make it so that if you search Cory's, it'll still come up. And I don't think the common name will change. I think it'll still be Pygmy Cory, even though the genus is Gastrodermus. There's another one that's Gastrostomus. And so I always get confused between those two. Well, since this morning when I first got into this. What temps for those L183s? We keep our water at 79 degrees here at Dan's Fish. So any fish that we sell has been thriving long term at 79 degrees. Oh, that's good. Holly says, I bought from Cory because of Dan. Oh, good. Yeah. I'm glad I could send some business Cory's way. Adam's Electric Universe. Down to Electric Avenue. And then you will meet Adam. The gastro part must refer to the pygmies' pursuit of food at any level in the aquarium. Yeah, they do that, don't they? I don't even think of them as bottom dwellers like most Corys. Yeah, they're almost a midwater swimmer. Bottom-ish midwater swimmer. A midwater swimmer that rests on the bottom on occasion. Yeah, the pygmy Corys, the Hestatus, kind of the smaller species tend to do that. Yep, correct. I've observed that as well. New friends. I got some Miyuki Medaka, but they're juveniles. For now, I have them in a grow-out tank indoors. You think that I can move them outside without losing too many? Well, if the only difference between your inside and your outside environment is the temperature, then yes. I would just very gradually, if there's a big difference between your indoor temperatures and your outdoor temperatures, then I would take a couple weeks to gradually get them used to that new temperature and then move them. But, you know, it totally depends on how the outside tank is set up as to how they'll do out there. But assuming they're doing great indoors and all things are equal outdoors, it just happens to be outdoors, except the temperature is different, then yeah, I think so. One thing with fish outdoors, just, you know, getting too hot is a thing. Rice fish are super hardy, but I definitely recommend that they be in a shaded area during the hot part of the summer. So, and new friends, if you end up breeding those, I would like to buy 1,000 of them from you. My main source of Miyuki rice fish went out of business. There's another source where I can sometimes get them, but that's a source I tend to choose not to purchase from. I try to just purchase from the most humane suppliers. And so I don't have currently a supplier that that is up to the Dan's Fish company standards that I can routinely get Miyuki rice fish from. And that's why I don't have it anymore. Even though it's like a top seller and I want it, I just want to make sure I source them the right way. But if anyone's breeding those, I would buy so many of them from you. Okay. Scrolling here. Oh yes, Why Are We Always Yelling says, join us at the Dan's Fish Warehouse for our 4th of July barbecue / fish nerd out on July 5th and 6th, 10 a.m. onwards. Tours, presentations, plenty of fish. Thank you, Why Are We Always Yelling? I needed to bring that up. That's coming right up here. So if you go to, let me find my channel. Okay. If you go to the Dan's Fish channel, click on community, then here is the flyer with the infos on that. And here is a place where if you call this number here, you can get very cheap housing. This is dorm housing at the local college. So if you don't mind that kind of living and only want to pay $39 a night to stay somewhere, then that's an option. There's also hotels, you know, if you prefer to to not be in a dorm, and there's Airbnbs and all that stuff. But yeah, I wanted to give the dorm option for folks that would help out. I've traveled a lot as an academic and crashed in many a dorm. Okay. Nico Fish, will there be alcohol at the barbecue? No, I don't think so. The more I learn about liability, the less I want to have alcohol at any company events. And just 6 weeks ago now, I can't remember. I think about 6 weeks ago, I had to let an employee go because they were intoxicated at work. And a month before that, I had to let another employee go because they were under the influence at work. And so I'm trying to avoid all that. So at a public event like this, here's the basic problem. If we were serving alcohol here and someone got injured while they were here at our event, then we wouldn't have much recourse if they were under the influence of the alcohol we served them and got injured while they were here. So that can put us in a very, very bad legal situation. So I think I just want to avoid all that and not have alcohol at the event. Evergreen Psyche. I found you guys through Alex at Fishery, another person with high integrity. Oh, yeah, I like Alex. I like Taylor. Yeah, we have several great affiliates. And this is no shade on Alex or Taylor or anything. I just think Cory and Bob are hard nuts to crack when it comes to who they want to partner with. Like very, very, very picky. And so, yeah, I think that's just a little feather in my cap. Candy is the best. Well, might be a toss-up with some guy named Johnny. Yeah, Candy's awesome. Johnny's awesome. I like them both. Fish for life. Have you ever dealt with fish TB in the warehouse? Yes, we have. Mycobacterium is, I wouldn't say it's super common, but it isn't exceptionally rare either. So yes, we've dealt with it. When we have it, what we have to do, unfortunately, is call the tank and just completely sterilize everything. So that's a rough one. But fortunately, it doesn't happen often. When I say it's not exceptionally rare, I'm talking about a couple cases a year. I'm not talking about on the daily. But every time it happens, it's a problem. Holly, tell Cory I only bought from him because of you and made sure to use the link. That's funny. Geek Boy says, but don't tell my say. Oh, okay, I see. Candy is the best. Well, it might be a toss-up with some guy named Johnny, but don't tell him I said so. I mean, secret's out. Johnny's here. Chris Smith, my male tiger teddy isn't acting right the past 2 days. Stays on the substrate. Will swim around, but just falls back to the bottom. Any ideas on if it's sick, still eating food, and looks good? Yeah, that is not normal behavior. Seems symptomatic of a faulty swim bladder. Otherwise, they'd be more or less neutrally buoyant in the water. So if something's happening that's making it so it can no longer regulate its swim bladder properly, then definitely something's going on. I don't know if it's a sickness. I don't know if it's an injury. I don't know if it's a deformity, like the fish just didn't form its organs properly when it grew out, and now it's somehow kicking in. So I don't know what the cause is, but yeah, definitely a swim bladder issue. I'm sorry to hear that, Chris. Hopefully we're getting lots and lots of babies and everything will be okay as far as keeping the line going. Jerry Serpel Morris. Hey, Jerry. So excited. I got my golden dwarf barbs yesterday. Came in looking great. Hoping to place an order for crocodile toothpicks when I get back from the trip in a couple weeks. Yeah, the toothpick fish are awesome. And the two groups that we have right now are doing great. We haven't had issues. They're fat and sassy, and I think they'll do well for you. So good choices. I like your funky choices, kind of the oddball ones. Yeah, dwarf gold or golden dwarf barbs. For those that don't know this fish, this is worth showing you guys this. Golden dwarf barb. I think it's Gellius is the species name. Yeah, Pethia Gellius. These are fantastic. So this is, what I love about them is they're small. They don't get much over, I don't know, maybe 1.25 inches, something like that. So they stay small, they're peaceful, and they're actually quite brightly colored. The pictures don't quite do them justice, but you can get an idea. Oh, I'm not sharing them, but you can get an idea on this one, kind of that iridescent bright gold. That comes out more and more as they settle in and as they mature. So really nice little fish, a nano barb that is straight up peaceful its entire life. So a lot of people avoid barbs because they think they're aggressive. And some barbs are, tiger barbs for sure. Filament barbs I've had that have torn rainbow fish to shreds. Like there are a few species that in certain circumstances can be somewhat aggressive. Well, they tore the rainbow fish apart, downright aggressive. But they're few and far between, and it often depends on how they're being kept. Any barb I've had that I've kept in large numbers has not been aggressive. It's when I just get down to a few that I've had trouble. And it's really only been the filament barbs, the tiger barbs, and the clown barbs. And the clown barbs weren't aggressive, they were just very food aggressive. So that can happen with barbs. They can just mob the food. But the Gellius, I think, are much less likely to do that than a lot of the other species. So there's a whole big group of fantastic barbs out there that for some reason are just being ignored, to the point that there's a Facebook group started by Mike Mongi. And I love the name of it. It's What About Barbs? Like, it's a great little group if you're into barbs. Hey. Yeah, and I visited Mike Mongi's house in his breeding setup and stuff. That guy's way into barbs. But he basically started that Facebook group because he's like, no one's keeping these amazing fish. They think they're these aggressive monsters, and they're not. I need to get the word out. So he's been on a mission to help people learn about barbs. Okay, Vimy! Are there any fish that could do well in 2 gallons? There are a lot of fish that can do well in 2 gallons. Almost any of the Aphyosemian killifish, almost any of the Nothobronchius killifishes, almost any of the Aphanius killifishes. So lots of killifishes. Okay, let's show you a few. That might be helpful. So there's all different kinds of Aphyosemian killifishes. This is one that's available frequently. We have this in stock right now. The gold or orange lyre-tail killie, Aphyosemian australi. But all of the fish that you're looking at here would do great in a 2.5 gallon aquarium. As would almost all of this genus, the Nothobronchius. As would almost all of this genus, the Aphanius. This is Aphanius mento. It's more commonly available than the others, and it's absolutely stunning. But let's look also at pygmy sunfish. We have Elosoma evergladi available frequently. I think we might be out at the moment, but it's one that we generally, at least in the last several months, have had in stock pretty continuously. There's several other species, and these guys are all small little fish native to Georgia and Florida and those areas that are absolutely stunning and wonderful. Then there's the Boraris. These are often called rasboras. This would be the chili rasbora, which is a really pretty one. But there's all types of them. There's the strawberries, there's the exclamation points, there's a whole bunch of species of these tiny little nano fish that are really pretty. And they would do fine in a 2.5 gallon. You could get, I think, easily 6 to 8 in that tank size. And there's others as well. Now, the thing to know about a tank that size is that the parameters in a small tank shift more quickly than a big tank. There's just less water volume. So if something changes, it has less water volume over which it has to change it to make an impact, right? So it's more difficult to keep the parameters stable in a small tank than, say, like a 100 gallon or something like that. Like, big difference in the stability, ease of stability. I think the key to a successful tank is stability. And so if you were going to put fish in a 2.5 gallon tank, I would make sure that thing was very mature and had been around for a while and wasn't going to experience big, like, nitrogenous waste type parameter shifts when you put fish in it. As long as that happens, and as long as you are an experienced enough aquarist to make the 2.5 gallon environment stable, then I think there's lots of fish that can go in there. I think a pea puffer would do well in there. Make a great little wet pet in a small tank like that. Lots of options. Stephen P. 2003 Aquatics gifted 5 dance fish memberships. Thank you so much, Stephen. I appreciate it. Or should I say, not Stefan. And I'm glad we figured out a better way to ship fish to you, man. What a win. That was awesome to hear that they got to you so much earlier this time. I was so happy about that. Okay, I don't know how to say this. I guess it's Eugene. Aqua 7? That's what I'm going with. Can you please tell me when you're regularly on live streaming so I don't miss you? Thank you, Dan. I do it every week, 7 p.m. Mountain Time on Wednesday. So every Wednesday, this time, same bat time, same bat channel every Wednesday. The only time I miss is if I'm, I don't know, really ill, or if I'm out of town on business, or something like that. But it's very rare that I miss one of these. I'm almost always here on Wednesdays. So this is the time. This is the time. Ooh, chat jumpity jumped. Just a second. I got to get back to it. Nathan, that's the next one I can see since chat jumped, says, any tricks on getting pygmy cories to spawn that differ from regularly sized cories? Yeah, I would say you want a big chunk of Java moss in there. Maybe choke half the tank with something like Java moss, because they're going to spawn in the moss more than on the glass. A lot of cories will just spawn right up on the glass, right? These guys will spawn in the moss. And then, if you're constantly feeding baby brine shrimp, which the adults will love you for, and microworms, which the adults will love you for, as well as, you know, you can feed prepared foods and dry foods too. But once a day, if you put some live food in there that's tiny like that, then those babies are going to have plenty of food. And every now and then, they'll get big enough to start coming out of the moss. So you can kind of get a continuous colony going that way without too much work. Oh, man, sorry. For everyone on the podcast, I had to get a drink. Sorry for the moment of silence. Here's another one. All right. When you do nothing but talk for, it's been 45 minutes, you gotta wet your whistle sometimes. New friend says, I'm investing in shade cloth. Good. That and or moving them. They're partially shaded, but it's shaping up to be a hot summer. If I'm successful breeding them, I'll let you know. Yeah, I'd love to buy them from you, new friends. Max Vera Frank. Hi, Dan. So now fish previously categorized under Corydoras will go under the umbrella term, oh, is that the family name? Calicichthidae? Did I say that right? Calichthiidae. That's what it is. Calichthiidae. I guess it could. I mean, it'll never happen in the hobby. We'll still call them Corys, commonly. Not Stefan says total win and still convenient, especially when Jenna makes the drive to pick them up for me. Yeah, that's right. Thank you, Jenna. Carrie Britton, I've hatched 300 or so Chilothrina alleni. Ooh, and they're doing great, and I'm super excited. I understand how you purchase. What quantity would you consider and what size for this fish? I would take all 300. If you can get them to 1.5 inches, that would be great. I could start buying them from you when they're well into the inch range, though, like a good solid inch or more. The thing is, if they're an inch, I can't pay you as much for them, but you can get them to me quicker. So, yeah, good solid inch. I think they'll ship really well at that size. So I could get them from there. I'd have to sell them for a lot less money because they're small and uncolored at that size. So from 1 inch to 2 inches would be great. Just the bigger they get, the more I can pay you. But if you're like, I got 300, I ain't got room, they're 1 inch, I got to get rid of them, then I would gladly get them from you. Yes. Mitchell Broom, hey! The Gastrodermus genus comes from elegans as the type species of the genus. They just combined pygmaeus into that genus, so it's not exactly a descriptive for pygmies. Ah, yeah. That makes sense. So Gastrodermus was actually named for elegans, and then pygmies got put in the group. So Gastrodermus itself was inspired by the species elegans, not by the species pygmaeus. So am I right then? I thought those were two different lineages. Did they combine two lineages into one then? Oh, they did. So that's interesting. So lineage 5 and 4 got combined, both into the same genus. So I'm assuming we still have two different lineages, one genus. Yeah, okay. So I was wrong in my earlier assumption, and I should have known that because I did see this before. My brain just didn't catch it, that each lineage got its own new genus. That hasn't happened. It looks like in some cases they've lumped lineages together into a new genus. Yeah. All right. Mitchell, thanks for the clarification. When I've got questions about Corys, I'm so glad that people like Mitchell and Rob are around. You guys are great. Thanks for all your help over the years. Purple pencil fish. Yes, purple pencil fish are my favorite. I'm also breeding the purple pencil fish. Awesome. But so far I've only gotten one to adult size. I'm afraid of shipping the L519s. I don't blame you. Yeah, I don't blame you. And by the way, it's better for the fish if you don't have to ship it. It's less stressful, provided that wherever it goes, you know, it takes care of it well. Retro fish. What are the fish in the background? Why, we've got a couple different ones. The bright blue ones are electric blue jack dempseys, and these spotted tetras, those are giant spotted emperor tetras, or kybrix, I believe is the species name. I forget the genus. Yeah, really neat. These tetras are really neat. They're not from the Amazon rainforest. They're from across the Andes Ridge on the other side, on the Pacific side of the Andes. So they've developed quite differently than the tetras that are on the east side of the Andes in the whole Amazon basin. They've been separated for a long time by the Andes Mountains. Okay. Tracy S. Any suggestions to breed Corys? Every time I believe I am seeing breeding behavior, I never see eggs or fry. They are in a heavily planted tank. All fish in the tank are small. Well, if it's really heavily planted, Tracy, they could be breeding in there, just not where you're going to see them. They don't always put the eggs on the glass. And depending on the species, some species will literally bury them in the sand. There's many different strategies Cory's use for breeding. In general, the common Corys available in the hobby generally will just stick their eggs on the glass. But if it's really heavily planted and they have better options on all the plants, maybe they would pick that instead. So that's a possibility. So the way I've always bred Corys in the past is basically I just feed them. I feed them a ton, and then they'll generally breed. And if they don't, then I'll just do a very large water change as a storm front's coming in. As the barometric pressure is dropping, I'll do a large water change, and I can get them to spawn that way. Another way to do it is if you have Corys that are somewhat difficult to spawn, keep some Corys that are easy to spawn in another tank, like Aeneas or something like that. And when they get excited and spawn, as they're spawning, get water from that tank and put a bunch of it in the tank with the hard to spawn Corys. And the thought is that the sex hormones and stuff that are released during the spawning event in the easy to breed Corys tanks might trigger the hard to breed Cory species to spawn as well. So those are some tricks. You can play with temperature. When you do the water change, you can use cooler water. Don't shock them, but cooler water to simulate like a large rainfall. But tons of food with a large 50% water change with slightly cooler water during a storm event is kind of the way I've done it. Now, I want to be clear, I'm not a Corydor's breeding expert. I've bred some common species and had fun, but I'm not a guy that has set up really rare species and difficult species and figured them out. It's just that most of the species I keep are pretty easy. And so if they're well fed and their water's clean and a storm's coming in, they'll breed. So those are my best thoughts, Tracy. But Mitchell or anyone else, if you have better suggestions for Tracy or something to add to that, then, you know, feel free. Let's help her out. Or him. Tracy, I don't know. I just assumed. Pardon me. Jackson, looking to stock a 55-gallon with something I can also breed. Any recommendations? Let's see here. Yeah. Let's see here. So I'm going to tell you what I would like you to breed. Stuff that I would like to buy. I would love to have... So in a tank that size, what would be easy to breed in numbers? I think Apistos, you could probably breed in a tank that size and probably have enough space. You could actually raise quite a few fry in that tank. Pelvicochromis, besides Pulcher, I'd be thrilled to buy those. You know, some of the angelfish, high quality, good coverage koi angelfish would be nice. The blue diamond angelfish, the black zebra lace angelfish, a nice Bulgarian seal point strain would be nice. Manicapurus, any of the wild types. I think 55 is a good tank to raise angels in. I'm going to go with live bears as well. Every live bear I sell, I would love to purchase from a hobbyist domestically. I would love to not have to import them and put them through that stress. So any live bear I sell, I'm looking to buy. So that's some thoughts. But also you do you. Like whatever you want, whatever you think would be fun. Ziaqua. Oh, Ziaqua, not Zeaqua. Now I'm going with Zeaqua. That's what I'm going with. Recently, I got my first group of Limia perugiae. Woo, good for you. Absolutely loving them. I know, right? Got any tips for them? Just lots of food. That's the main thing. Keep the water clean, lots of food. Put a little plant cover in there, and you're going to have so many babies. It's going to be insane. Yeah. Limias are just about, I mean, in my experience, they're super hardy, and they're prolific, and they're easy to breed. I have no clue why the industry has not gotten a hold of those and bred them like crazy. Especially Perugiae, such a stunning fish. But Yeah, Zéaqual. I think you'll do good if you just feed them, keep the water clean, and have some cover. KCM Aquatics. What do you typically see breeding with albino corridors? Have a group of 6. Don't know if I have male and female yet, but fingers crossed we got a mix. Yeah, if you've got 6, then the statistics say that you're almost guaranteed to have at least one of each sex in that mix. So the albino cories are some of the easiest ever to breed. I assume you have Aeneas, but it could be Paleotis, it could be Sturbi. Any of those aren't difficult. And just lots of food, keep the water clean, and again, a big 50% water change around the time a storm front rolls in, and I would be surprised if they didn't breed once they're mature. And I mean a lot of food. Like, they eat a ton. Now, something I have done to breed cories when I can't get them to breed like that is sometimes I'll just move them to a new tank and they'll spawn. So that's something else that could be tried that I didn't think about on the other person's, when I was answering the other person's question about breeding cories. But that trick's worked for me too. Can Jenna hand deliver my orders as well? Thanks, Geek Boy. That's right. All we need is a private jet, and we can hire Jenna as the pilot, and she can just zip around and hand everyone their orders. I like it. I like the idea. Thanks for giving away the memberships, Geek Boy. Appreciate it, and hope to see you. Hopefully we'll see you on the 5th or 6th. All right, Fish Hunter says, I got my emerald betta last week. Aren't they awesome? He looks great and is doing well. I put him in my empty 10-gallon, as you suggested. He looks lonely. What can I put in there with him? Oh, anything that is of appropriate size, peaceful, and not really food aggressive. It's really a wide range of fish you could keep with him. Okay, let me try to think of some. I think a pistogramma would be okay. I don't think they would outcompete, and they aren't the quickest feeders either. I think you could do like hillstream loaches or some kind of Stiffodon goby, because those are grazers. You could definitely do something like a pygmy hatchetfish, small hatchetfish, or half-beaks. The platinum half-beaks I have right now are fairly small, but if you could find adult half-beaks, I think they would be just fine. So that kind of thing, stuff that doesn't get too big, is peaceful, and isn't so fast at feeding time that it's going to outcompete the betta for food. And I think epistos would be fine. You might get in, like I mentioned before, but you might get in a little trouble if they go into spawning mode in that small of a tank. They might defend the entire tank. But you might be able to get away with, like, I don't know, a single male episto. I think drape fin barbs would be good. I think killifish would be a great choice. Like the orange lyre-tail killies. These guys, gold lyre-tail killies, these don't get too big, they're not super aggressive, and they don't mob the food too much. So that there, I think, is a fish that could be an ideal partner. And that's what I got. That's a few. It's a few to consider. Evergreen Psyche, will you be getting drape fin barbs and Limia vittata back at any point? I believe we have Limia vittata, do we not? I think we just need to list those again. Johnny, if you're watching, these guys right here. Johnny, if you're watching, isn't that the one we have a whole bunch in E10? If that's right, if I'm thinking of the right fish, then let's Let's go ahead and list some. We've got quite a few. So I think evergreen that we'll be able to get the Limia vittata in soon. Drape fin barbs, believe it or not, I have trouble finding that fish. So I don't know when I'll find them again, but in the past, anytime I found them, I've ordered them. They're one of my favorites, my personal favorites. Ernesto Barbosa. Hey Dan, I hear opposing views on black emperor tetras. Do you believe they are aggressive? No, but they are tetras. So they are going to be food aggressive, which means not that they'll hurt other fish at feeding time, but they'll feed so aggressively that they can outcompete other fish. And they can be fin nippers in the sense that if you have another fish with really long flowing fins, like a guppy or one of the fancy betta types, like a big long finned half moon betta or something like that, then they might nip fins like that. They might nip long fin extensions like on a veil tail angelfish or a blue galaris when it develops the big trident tail, stuff like that. But in general, I have not found them to be an aggressive fish. Almost any tetra, not all of them, but lots of tetras that are peaceful will still not be able to resist nipping a really long flowy fin. It doesn't mean they're aggressive though. It just means that's like wiggling a fish lure in front of their face all day. Eventually they're going to nip it. So that's my thoughts, Ernesto. I hope that's helpful. I don't think they're aggressive. The voodoo gal. Oh, voodoo. Chat just jumped. It cut. Hang on. Let me see if I can get back up and see your question. Oh, I don't know. I don't know. Oh, I don't think I can. Oh, I can. Oh, yeah, it is gal. For a sec there, I thought it was G-A-I, like guy. We'll be getting more types of Borneo sucker / hillstream loaches. Been trying to get the Bloody Mary and other different ones, but can't find them anywhere. Yes, I'm working on it. There's some that I'm working on that hopefully I'll be able to announce in the near future. Not Bloody Marys. I've only been able to get Bloody Marys in once. I only got a few of them. But I do have some others that I think are very, very nice as well. That I'm working on getting out for you. Okay. I see that Azaya has a question, but I can't scroll up enough to find it. Sorry, Azaya. If you would leave it, and when you do, if you would put @DansFish here, and select Dan's Fish when it pops up in your menu, it'll turn bright orange for me, and then I'm more likely to see it as I go down this list. I have a pair of black-banded pygmy sunfish. Any breeding and fry raising advice? Asks Patrick. I don't personally have a lot of experience breeding pygmy sunfish. I believe I've done it before, but it wasn't really intentional. They were just in a heavily planted tank, or was it? Hang on. I'm trying to remember back when I did this. What I remember about the tank was it was like half choked with Java moss, and I just fed a bunch of baby brine shrimp in that tank, and fry would appear. That's all I really remember about it. So Patrick, I'm not a big expert on them. But if someone here is breeding them and has better advice, please shout it out. W Robo, what would be a decent quantity of Daisy's rice fish to get a good mix of males and females for breeding? Oh, I think 8 would probably do it. That'd be a good breeding group to start with. And if you get them from us and you let us know you intend to breed them, then we'll do our best to make sure you get some of each sex. We can't guarantee it, but we'll at least be aware that's what you're trying to do and be able to look out for that. Mel Wool, can you keep pygmy Corys with regular size Corys? I think you could. Yeah. I mean, except for the corridors in lineage 1, Most Corys are super peaceful, even with other Cory species. So I think that they would be just fine. Jerry, do you think you'll be getting any Hera jardoni again soon, or the banjo catfish? Yeah, I hope to get the Hara, or Hera, I think it's Hara, the dwarf anchor cats. I do hope to get them in again soon. I'm just waiting for the supplier to have some more. And banjo catfish, I've never brought in because I haven't ever had demand for them. I know that fish, I think it's super cool. I think you're literally the first person that's asked me if I can get them, Jerry. So I don't know if there'll be a big enough market for them for me to bring in a big group like I would need to. Michael, can you talk about the black Corys? Yeah, what would you like to know? I think, I believe they're in the Aeneas group or whatever that got called these days. I just don't know what you want to know about them. Natalie B, any chance Fundulopantrax emiati will nibble little fish tails? Yes, but it would have to be a small enough fish that the emiati thinks it's food and tries to eat it, or something with really long flowing fins like, you know, a guppy or a half moon betta or veil-tail betta, something like that. In general, if it doesn't think it's food and it doesn't have long flowy fins that say bite me, then I've had good luck keeping emiati with other fish. Mel, whoa, can you keep a group of pygmy Corys with a group of normal size? Oh, I already got that one. Andy says, howdy. Well, howdy, partner. How many angelfish should I add to a 55-gallon community tank build? Corridors and hatchetfish planned so far. It totally depends on how much, how the tank's set up and how much maintenance you want to do and such like. But I personally, in a 55-gallon, I would probably keep 8 to 12 angelfish in there. You know, you just have to, full-grown angelfish eat a lot, and so you just have to make sure that you're doing enough water changes to support that. Barring that, I mean, maybe 6 is enough. I wouldn't get much less than 6 though, because angelfish can get aggressive, and I think I would either get 1 or 8 or more. And what's going to happen is, eventually they're going to start pairing off. And when they pair off, they're going to get pretty aggressive. And the only way I know of to make it so that doesn't become a problem long term is to have enough angelfish in that tank that you have enough pairs forming that no one gets the upper hand. So I've seen many tanks of angelfish full grown, long term, no problems, but only if there were a good amount of angelfish in there. I've never seen an angelfish tank do well really long term when there were just a few in there, because once that pair forms up, it's going to be an issue. So I would go with 1 or several would be my advice. Mama Duck couldn't be here last week. I know, Mama, it was so sad. But swords got here in great condition. Temp was 80 degrees. Longest sword I've seen on the mail. He's something special. Oh, I'm glad to hear that, Mama. I'm glad you're happy with your sword tails. Yeah. Now there, did you get, I remember, I think it was the Montezuma, right? If I'm remembering right. I mean, the Montezumas are fantastic. Javier Teno, is it normal for golden-eye cichlids to hide all the time? I have one in my South American community tank, and I might see him twice a week if I'm lucky. What I've noticed with those fish is if there's not a big group of them, they'll hide. Or if you have only one or a few, but there's plenty of dither fish, then, okay, I'm saying that backwards. If I have a good group of them, they'll come out. And if I have plenty of dither fish, they'll come out. But if either of those two scenarios is not happening, then they do tend to hide quite a bit. So he's in a community tank, though, which makes me think that you've probably got plenty of other fish in there that are out and about and saying, it's fine to live here. They could act as dither fish. So he might just need more time. I don't know. Vimy, thanks. That was super helpful on the 2-gallon tank. Totally understand on the tank parameters. The pea puffer really piqued my interest. Any of those in the works? Yes, I should have some coming up soon. I've got some. I'm just waiting for them to get nice and fat. In fact, Vimy, if you decide to do just one pea puffer, send us an email, hello@dansfish.com. We have one that's in a tank by itself. There's other fish in there, but not other pea puffers. And he's big and fat and sassy. So if you want one in a 2-gallon tank and you have the 2-gallon and it's all steady and mature and ready, then send us an email. I think we can work something out on that one guy. What happened was there was a bunch of pea puffers in there. We either sold out, or what I think happened is we moved them to a new tank and didn't realize that we hadn't caught one. And he just had like tons of snails in there. And he just got big. I think that's what happened. Tracy, yes. Are there pygmy Corys? They are pygmy Corys, and I've been feeding brine shrimp. Thanks for all the suggestions. Okay, cool. Devin Petrino. I bought some platinum raspberries from you guys today. Can't wait to see how they do. Oh, not raspberries, rummy nose. Well, I'm glad you got them, and I think you're going to be pleasantly surprised. Rummy nose are one of the touchiest fish we send, but we still barely ever lose any. And we're getting better all the time. With having our fish health officer here the last while, we've got to know better how to take care of them and how to get them even healthier. So they're getting better all the time, and pretty soon here, I think we're going to have those fish as solid as other tetras. They're pretty solid, but I would say on the tetra list of what we usually sell, they're one of the ones that every time we ship them, I'm like, okay. Not because we have massive losses or anything, but they're just a little more difficult. Nathan, I've had a couple of emerald Corys since birth, 3 to 4 months ago. You were born 3 to 4 months ago? And they are having swim bladder issue and can't stay on the bottom. How can I help? I don't know, Nathan. So you've had them for 3 to 4 months, or 3/4 of a month? I think 3 to 4 months is what you're saying. Is the issue that they're floating? They can't stay on the bottom. When you change your water, do you let the water gas off and age before you put it in the aquarium? The reason I'm asking is because if you don't, and you're putting it in straight from your tap, that water's under pressure. And it's also cool in your pipes until it's heated. So when it depressurizes, when you put it in your tank and it depressurizes, and when it's heated up, all that makes the dissolved gas in it release. And so that can create air bubbles in your fish. And it can give them what we call the bends, but it can also maybe do things like mess with their buoyancy, because we're talking about gas bubbles in the fish. So what I would say is, if you are not aging the water and degassing it before you do your water change, maybe try that a few times and see if that helps. That would be my best suggestion, because if it's not that, then I wouldn't know how to fix it. If it's a disease causing a swim bladder issue, I couldn't tell you which disease it is. There's many, many options, and I couldn't tell just by knowing that it has a swim bladder issue which of those it is. If it's somehow got a deformity, or something's not formed right physically in the fish, I wouldn't know what that is either. So the best and easiest thing I can say is, let's try degassing and aging our water before we put it in and see if that helps. It's at least that's an easy thing to try. MK I almost said exotics. Exotics. What are all types are Corys you breed, and what Corys are the most challenging to breed? I don't actively breed any Corys now, but over the years I've bred lots and lots of fish. My true love is breeding fish, and before this became a business that kept me so busy that I didn't have time to do it, I bred and raised lots of fish, lots and lots. And I've done several types of Corys. Aeneas, lots of the Aspidorus species, which are Corys. They're just a different lineage. I honestly would have to go back and look at all of them. But I don't consider myself an expert Corydorus breeder. Basically what would happen is I would keep Corys because I thought they were cool. I'd feed the heck out of them. And every now and then I'd do a large water change. And sometimes when I did that, they would spawn. Or like I said, every now and then I would change them to a new tank, and that would trigger them to spawn. But really I wasn't like figuring out the details of how to do it. I was just doing a couple easy things. And sometimes I get baby Corys, and that was fun. So I wouldn't consider myself someone who's really good at Cory breeding. But if you want a challenge, do the 153s. Let me show you this fish. This is one of the most challenging Corys. It's CW153. I've had it a couple times. Difficult to get healthy ones. I think I could do it now that I have the Chief Fish Health Officer. I think that we could figure out better how to take care of this fish. But they are a mimic. They mimic a darter tetras. So look at that fish, and then let me find the darter tetra. Okay. So what they mimic is this little, I assume, Caricidium species. So see that? See how similar that is to that? So they mimic this fish, and they swim around with them, and they school around with them for protection in the wild. And they're very difficult to find. I know one breeder that breeds them. It's the only place I can get them, and he doesn't have many ever. And they've been touchy, they've been hard. So if you want a challenge, oh, that's a challenge. All right, let's see here. Cory, did I already answer your question about pygmaeus in your 20-gallon? What tank mates would you recommend? I don't think I answered this one. What tank mates would you recommend for pygmaeus in a 20 show, 10-gallon footprint but tall? Right now I have LT gray endlers and pygmaeus in there. See here, so the T-grays probably spend most of their time in the upper third of the water column, pygmaeus on the bottom. For tall tanks, I recommend grazers and suction cups. So fish that graze around and stick on things, because they tend to not swim back and forth so much as like stick on things. And like if you have a big rock in there, they'll graze all over that surface, stick on it and crawl around on it basically. So something like that, a kind of benthic species that crawls around on stuff. So that would be things like Stiphodon gobies. Lots of neat gobies of the Stiphodon genus. These are all, each one's as beautiful as the next. I think we have neon blue gobies available right now. This guy right here. There's our picture. Really beautiful little fish, and they just crawl around on stuff. I think hill stream loaches are another option. This is another fish that crawls around on surfaces, crawls around on stuff. Bumblebee gobies. These are a great little fish that sticks to stuff and crawls around on stuff. So that's the kind of fish that I would go for. There are one or two species of bumblebee gobies that are pure freshwater as well and would be fine long-term in a freshwater tank. So when you say 20-gallon show, it's got that height to it. That's what I would go for. Something that likes to crawl around on stuff. And then I'd put enough like branches going up and across or big rock work or something that they have a lot of surface area to cruise around on. That's what I think I would do. Natalie B. gifted 5 Dance Fish memberships. Natalie, mwah! Thank you. How very generous of you. Appreciate it. Okay. Dixon Designs. How often do I need to feed nickel-sized angelfish in fresh water? Oh, I mean, okay, in the wild during daylight hours, cuspular as well probably, those little things are going to be eating all day long. They're going to be grazing and eating all day long. Now, not everything they eat is going to be super nutritious. Sometimes they'll just be eating detritus. Sometimes they'll be eating algae. What they want is protein and fat-rich little packets, like little nematodes and insect larvae and little crustaceans, stuff like that. That's what they really want. So they'll get some of that. They'll also get a lot of lower energy, lower nutrient foods. And they'll eat that all day long. They'll just go around all day long and graze on it. In an ideal world, we would mimic that in the aquarium. The problem we run into in the aquarium is a lot of the foods we feed are really high in nutrient value. And so if the angelfish eats that all day long and kind of bloats up, it's not really healthy for the angelfish long term to do that. So what I would recommend is feeding frequently, small meals frequently. So I don't know what your work situation is, but let's say you're home all day and you could every hour or a couple hours go over and feed the fish a little something. And you could feed some baby brine shrimp, and then you could feed some algae pellets, and then you could feed some, I don't know, but rotating all kinds of different food to give them a good variety. And if you could do that every hour or two, that would be ideal, because you're making sure they get food throughout the day, but you're not feeding so much that they bloat up. So whatever you can do to approximate that with your work schedule or your lifestyle or whatever is what I would suggest. Okay, it's 8:22. I think we're going to do it. I think so. I think we're going to give away some Gastrodermus pygmaeus, better known as the Pygmy Cory. So for those that just joining us, we're giving away some Pygmy Corys, formerly Corydoras pygmaeus. Now, as of yesterday, Gastrodermus pygmaeus. They changed the genus name on us. We have 326 eligible entries, and the winner is Mark Herman. Hey, that makes me happy. Mark's been here on and off for a long time. Mark, good to see you. You have won. You now have 2 minutes to chime in and leave a comment in the chat. Let me start my timer. Okay, timer's going. When that gets to 0, I'll check, and if you have not left a comment, then you will forfeit your winnings and we'll draw somebody else. If you have, we'll give you further instructions. So 2 minutes to say something in the comments to claim your winnings. While we're waiting, all right, Geek Boy's gonna be here. Awesome. I can't wait to see you and your lovely lady. Thanks, Geek Boy. I'm glad I'll get to see you. And hopefully we can actually sit down and talk a bit. Last time we barely got to say much to you. It's, when you're hosting an event and there's so much going on, but hope we can chat. Okay. Sid Miller, does anyone else have fish dreams? I had one last night about angelfish, bristlenose hybrids. Sid, at the risk of coming across as a freak, you're not alone. I know that from personal experience. Yes, I have fish dreams often. Spinster Sister, I feed my 3 green spotted puffers live blackworms every day and snails every other day. What other foods can I feed them? Rapashi, any flakes or pellets? Yeah, you can feed them Vibrobites. They'll learn to eat almost any dry prepared food. It just takes some time, but they'll eat Vibrobites. They'll nosh on pellets. I think it'd be very good to also get them to eat some brine shrimp. This is green spotted. In my mind, I was thinking pea puffer for some reason, but same goes for them. I think it'd be very good to get them to eat brine shrimp because that has enough fiber in it that it'll help offset the black worms and the snails, which don't have a lot of fiber in them. Mysis shrimp are a great option, freshwater or saltwater, just, you know, if you can get them small enough. I feed seafood as well. I just make sure it's actual seafood without the preservatives and texture enhancers, and I'll feed all kinds of seafood. So those are some thoughts. All right, let's see. But I think varieties, I really think variety is the best you can do for your fish. In nature, they're eating so many different things, and the things they're eating are eating so many different things that I think they just get a pretty large nutrition profile. And I think in aquariums, we want to give them as much of that as we can. Any Fish Will Do says, thanks for the videos you make. Oh, you're welcome, Any Fish Will Do. I can't wait to get back at it. I have a plan. It's going to take a little while, but I have a plan in motion that I hope will allow me to free up so I can do that and do the other things I need to do to get the company out there. A, because it's fun and good to do, but B, because that's the way you grow a company's revenue, is by adding value in a public way, like videos. Matt M, dance fish, any Aphyosemium Achilles coming in? Bivitatum funge or Bitaniatum? I think we might have some funge that we can list. There's some in the tank. They might all be sold, but if not, we'll have some listed in a day or two. So if you don't see any listed in a day or two, then that means the ones that we have available or in the tank right now have already all sold. Oh, I lie. I'm so sorry. Matt, I was thinking of, for some reason, I was thinking of the Emiadi we have. I don't know if we have any funge right now. That is something that whenever the breeder has them in, I do buy them. So whenever they're available, Matt will bring them in, but they aren't always available. Okay, with that failure of responding correctly, let's see, your time is up. So there it is. Mark Herman is here. All right. Congrats, Mark. Glad you won. It's always nice when someone that's been here supporting for a while wins. Just like, you know, of course, you should win. You've been here often, so you should win. That makes me happy. If you would, Mark, send us an email at hello@dancefish.com, HELLO@dancefish.com. We need your first name, your last name, your mailing address, and we will make arrangements to get those fishies off to you. With that, I think we're going to shut it down. I want to thank my moderators for being here and moderating week after week after week after week, tirelessly coming every week, volunteering their time. Oh yeah, Johnny says, the funge are gone, Dan. Yeah, I was thinking of the Emiadi for some reason. Anyways, thanks to the mods for volunteering their time tirelessly and generously, repeatedly, some of them for years. I really appreciate that. Everyone who's a member of the channel, hello, thanks for being a member of the Fishmonger crew, or a Danio or Daniela. I should change. I think there's something to do there when I have time. Everyone who gave away memberships, thanks so much. Very generous and a great way to support us. Also, if you threw money at us, thanks for the super chats. That's also appreciated. If you were active in the chat, thanks for participating. If you weren't, don't worry. We still love you. Hail the Lurker Nation. If you're watching on the replay, hello from the past. And if you're listening to the podcast, then thanks for your patience while it took me forever to get these loaded to the podcast. And thanks for listening. We'll be back next week, same bat time, same bat channel. Till then, I sincerely hope everyone has a great, great week. I'll see you then. Bye-bye, folks.